welcome to Coffee and Cannabis. I'm your host, Dr. Beast, big leader of the East, and we are at Abake. We're in the Heights, in an amazing new coffee shop that my friend has opened. Her name is Peace, and she's an amazing human, and she brought this amazing community space to the Heights, and I'm sitting here with an amazing person. Because, as you all know, when we talk to all these people in the cannabis industry, but we don't necessarily always talk to the legacy folks. You know, I always use that word in parentheses because I just hate when the government makes up words like Hispanic and all the other ones that we just get attached to. But the reality is that he's had an amazing journey, story. So please give it up for Mr. Kyle Page.
What up, everybody? How you doing?
How are you?
My name is Kyle Page. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I lived there probably till about freshman year of high school. Then I moved to New Jersey. I moved to Fairlawn, New Jersey, as a matter of fact. It was very different for me coming from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn to Fairlawn, New Jersey. I came from like during the era, it was like Spike Lee era. Right. You know what I mean? In Bed-Stuy, like Do the Right Thing era. Right. Then I moved to Fairlawn, which is like predominantly Irish, Italian, Jewish. I can't say it was all bad. It was definitely a learning experience for me. It taught me different things. I got to live on both sides of the fence. I got to live in the hood and then also live in the suburbs. But when I lived in the hood, I didn't know I lived in the hood until I moved out of the hood. So, you know, it was a little different for me. I got to see different ways of people living, different cultures. I got to be around people who were Russian, different things. So it was an eye-opener for me. It was really good to learn different things. But one thing I did see is that there was a difference in policing. For me, you know, as now I'm older and I have a way better perspective of things, living in Brooklyn, it was more of an occupying force. Living in Fairlawn, it was more like they were community involved, but they weren't community involved for me. There were several times where my dad had to open the door to prove that I lived in the neighborhood. I was constantly harassed, thrown on the cop cars, and just like any other teenager, I smoked weed, you know, I hung around, stuff like that. Difference is my friends who were Caucasian didn't go to jail. I did. So I've been going to jail since I was about 15 years old. In and out of juvenile detention centers, and then which kind of led me down a path where I believed that I was bad. I believed that I was a bad person. So I actually started living that life. And when I went to prison the first time when I was 18 years old, I had 13 dime bags of cannabis. 13 dime bags, I want to stress that. The 13 dime bags got me 2.5 years in prison. I had 2 3-year sentences running concurrent with an 18-month stipulation. Can
you break that down in grams so that they understand the quantity of
less than 50 grams? It was, remember the old school bags from New York? That's what I had, 13 of those.
2 years of your life.
Yes.
For something that we sell legally now.
Yeah, my dad is a Marine. I wanted to go to Marines. That's what I wanted to do out of high school. I graduated a year early, but within that time is when I got arrested. So at 18, they didn't want me to go to the military, even though my recruitment officer was there, wanted me to go to the military. They felt that I needed to go to prison. So I went to Albert C. Wagner facility here in New Jersey, which is boarding town. People know this boarding town. It's called a gladiator camp. Luckily, I didn't have to stay there. I ended up going to a boot camp facility, which was pretty good. And then I came out of prison, and I was on a bracelet program for about 6 months. I didn't trust living in Fairlawn anymore. I feel like I didn't belong there. I feel like I wasn't welcome there. So the next town over is Patterson, and I had a lot of friends in Patterson, so I moved over to Patterson, and I did what a lot of people do is, you know, I got on the corner, I did those type of things. Luckily, I come from a really good family, so I realized at a certain point, like, this is not me.
How was a Marine, like, okay with this?
My dad was not okay with this. My dad wanted to kill me.
My backstory is that I did 10 years in the Navy, and then I got into cannabis.
My whole family is military. My grandfather was Army. My dad has twin brothers in the Army. Everybody in my family is military. My one uncle, he worked for Boeing Aeronautics. He's an aeronautics engineer. So I don't come from, a lot of people think because you come from the hood, you have a hood family. This is not the case. It's about financial status. That's pretty much what it was.
Right.
And my parents did what they had to do. They saved money for us to get out of that situation.
Right.
In any case, like, my dad was not happy with it. My mother was not happy with what I was doing. But I was rebellious, and I felt like there's no place for me anyway. I'm a convicted felon now. I'm 18 years old. I can't go to the military. I'm a sell drugs. That's what I thought I was going to do. Luckily, I don't know if I have a guardian angel, which is the good teaching of my parents. After being on the streets where, people, I did that for a few years. I was on the corners. Things started to get really thick, and I realized, like, this is not me. this is not who I am. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a thug. I'm not that at all. But I really love cannabis, though. So I had a friend of mine. He lived in Kansas City. And I asked him, I said, would it be okay if I came to Kansas City and get away from this? Because I need to do something different in my life. And he said, that's cool. So I went out there, and I started working at an auto shop and doing different things. I was doing really well for myself. And I met somebody who asked me, did I want to go trim weed in California? I'm like, no brainer. Of course I want to do that. From there, I went to California. I started trimming. They realized that I was very intelligent. They realized that I was picking up everything really, really quick. Within 6 months, I was actually running their farm.
Wow.
Yeah. Within 6 months, they taught me everything I need to know. Of course, they supervised me.
Isn't cannabis science so, like...
It's something that I've always been
amazing, right? You learn so much about the plant, what it does.
Yes.
The science behind it is crazy.
And I got to learn from people who learned from, like, their grandparents. You know, like, these are, like, generational cannabis growers in Northern California. I did the whole thing of living in a tent, like, 4 months, 5 months out the year. Watched them go from baby to adult. Started to realize when they were mature, when the THC levels were high enough, and I did that, and I did that for years.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it turned into me trafficking across into the Midwest. I had like 3 different states that I supplied.
Hold on. We got to pause there because California has a legal market and the markets are not working out well, as we see in Jersey, because they keep oversaturating them. They're not making the right policies around the real legal business. And California has been doing this for a long time and they deviate from the legal market because of the fact that they're not supplying enough. So then they still do black market practices. What is the...
That was actually the case with the growers that I worked with. They were, at the time, they were called a collective. Okay. Where they were able to have 99 plants on each property. So we had a few different properties that we would grow on, and but they wouldn't make money in that. Right. So the money was out of state, and so that's what I did. I learned how to mask the smell, package it up right, and found different creative ways to get it across the country. And typically, I would deal with about 200 to 400 pounds at a time. I was doing about 400 pounds a month, and my customers knew that they would put their orders in pre-order, and I would bring them their order. You know, somebody would get 100 pounds, somebody would get 50 pounds. It was so clockwork. I didn't feel like I was doing anything illegal. I felt like I was farming. I mean, my wife would come out. I was married at the time, and my wife would come with me, and my partner. My partner was from Long Island. He's an Italian dude. They used to make fun of us and call us Pulp Fiction all the time. But I mean, it was like I said, I wasn't carrying guns. I wasn't hanging on corners. I wasn't doing any of that. I was simply growing a crop, bringing it to customers, and it was literally once a month. It was clockwork. This went on for a few years. I made a substantial amount of money. Ended up having a 5-bedroom house. Me and my wife were very comfortable. I was able to take care of my daughter very well. I started a T-shirt company while I was out there. I was also a music manager and artist developer in Kansas City. I worked with Lil Wayne. I worked with Twista. I worked with Ty Dolla $ign. I worked with a few different people.
Wow, it's like a 180 of your life.
Yeah, I mean, because the artist that I had was doing shows with them, so I got to be involved with all of this. And it was, my parents didn't know what I was doing. They just knew that I was doing well. They knew that I was happy. They saw me doing very well for myself. And that all fell down one day when...
I was like, I feel it until coming.
Yeah, it's always an until. There was... so I ended up building a studio inside my house for my artists. I was actually managing a rock band and also a rapper. One of the rapper's friends got wind of what we were doing, and he saw it as something different than what it was. He was like, put me on. But it wasn't like that. And he felt like because he wanted like a quarter pound or something like that, and he felt like because I didn't want to do that, he felt like I was putting out the people in Kansas City. And in turn, he got arrested. He went to the authorities and told them, I know somebody who's not from here who has a lot of weight. And they had about a 6-month investigation on us the first time. Couldn't get anything. They said we were too elusive. And then they came back again, and they ended up getting something. They actually planted stuff inside the garbage. They put a yellow bag with a grinder and a packaging from Colorado, because they thought that we were coming from Colorado with it. And that's what they put that on top. My attorney, in turn, was like, let's test the grinder. The grinder was full of weed. First of all, I'm like, there's no weed head who is putting a grinder full of weed, like, just gonna throw it away.
No.
Let's dust it for prints. The prints, it was wiped clean, so we knew that it was planted, but there was nothing that we can do because in the state of Kansas, it's called the good faith law. If a police officer did something in good faith, they're going to wipe any wrongdoing that he did, and they're going to convict you. They raided my house. I was actually buying houses on the Missouri side at the time. I was buying different houses and flipping them. I got a call. I was at the city hall in Kansas City, Missouri, getting a new deed for a house. I got a call from a detective in Kansas, and it was almost like he was like a kidnapper. He's like, listen, I've got your wife and I've got your guy. You turn yourself in, and we'll let your wife go, but your boy stays. So
for weed.
For weed, yeah.
I gotta break that down, right? Because when I came home, right, so I did 10 years of service, and then in 2020 it was COVID, I got hurt, and I started to grow a dependency to opioids because of the Navy.
Absolutely.
And I transitioned because of my spouse. She actually told me, she's like, you should try to do this. It's been very helpful for people, and it changed my life. Yeah. I was on like 11 medications from the VA, like this one thing. So
did you use tinctures?
I use everything. Okay. I use it to this day. Still use everything. Yeah. Yes, but I also don't have to take any medication from the VA, right? Yep. So to have such a transformative experience and know that there's so many veterans out there and people from all walks of life with different ailments that this can help, to see them like, I got your wife and kids and for this product, insane. While we have so many pharmaceutical drugs out there, like nothing is just mind blowing to me.
It was absolutely insane the way they handled the situation. At the time, I didn't have an attorney. So mind you, in Kansas City, I got a call that they have my wife. They have he's like my brother, my best friend. You know, I was like, so I went to I had a guy that used to hold some, I didn't keep my money all at the house. I had money in different places. So I went there, and he's like, listen, you're going to have to run. But I'm not the type of person. I'm not going to leave him to take the weight for him. I'm not going to leave my wife in that situation.
Right.
So I said, no, just give me the money that I had, I had about $80,000 sitting over there with him. And I said, I'm going to go get me an attorney. And so that's what I did. I started calling attorneys around. I called an attorney. I said, listen, I'm in a situation. I need to come see you right now, and I need to turn myself into the police. So I went there, I talked to him, and I know the attorneys are not supposed to take cash, but I gave him about $20,000 cash at the time. He was like, whoa. I'm like, I need help. After speaking to me, he realized that I was like, dude, I'm not a gangster. I'm a cannabis grower.
Right.
And
I should have a really successful business.
I'm really good at what I do, and they don't like that very much. And so I ended up going to the police station, and I told them I won't come inside until I see my wife walk out of there. I said, I'm not coming in until I walk out, and then I have to see her walk out. So she walked out, she got in my car, she left. And at that point, I turned myself in. Of course, they try to get me to turn state's evidence or give them names of people. They wanted to get a bigger operation. They wanted me to talk about people that was I dealing in other states.
You're like, I am the operation.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, only people, I'm not telling anybody anyway. I'm like, if you look at my past record, I've never told on anybody. And so I went to the county jail. They fixed the bail so that we could not bail out. We had enough money to bail out. First they said that we couldn't. First they had to bail at $30,000. No problem. I had somebody waiting with that. Then they put it up to $200,000. We get the 10%. I said, no money. We got that too. Then they said we have to have a house. You have to have a house with a title and everything. So okay, we got that too. Then they said once we got that, they said you have to have a house in this county.
Okay, no. This is super intentional at this point.
Absolutely. They showed me pictures of them wearing my jewelry. They were like, yeah, look at you with your rapper chains. And, they tried to make me out to be something that I wasn't. I said, you didn't find any guns in the house. I'm not a gang member. I'm not any of that type of thing. They didn't care. My first plea was 240 months in prison. I was facing 20 years in prison for this. I was at the top of the
240 months?
Yeah. At that point, it was crazy as I got arrested the day before my mother's birthday, my mother's birthday is February 20th, which is past. And it was February 19th, the day that I got locked up. I thought I was going to bail out, so I tried to tell my wife, like, don't tell my mother where I'm at.
Yeah.
Let me just get out of here. My mother has an intuition and knew something was wrong. At that point, I had to tell her what was going on. I had to, and my daughter stayed with me every summer. She had her own room at the house. We had a very nice house. she was distraught because me and my daughter are very, very close. She was 12 years old at the time. And so I had to explain to them that I'm probably never going to come out of prison. I said, this is a situation where I'm looking at 20 years in prison. I'm from the East Coast, New York, New Jersey. Kansas doesn't like that I'm making this much money in their state. And so I told them, I was like, I'll be okay, and maybe it isn't. Maybe I can get some type of, maybe something to happen in the future that I can get out of prison. But as of right now, I'm looking at 20 years in prison, and so I was 36 at the time. I said, let them know. I was like, I'll be like 56 years old when I come home. God. It was a hard thing and I had to be strong for my mother because my mother is crying and my daughter's crying. I'm like, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. They held on to that sentence for a long time, and eventually my attorney got it down to a 10-year sentence, which was served 7 years in and 3 years out on post-release.
Okay.
While in there, I decided you could either...
Wait. What did you end up getting?
I got the 10-year sentence.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I served, but Last Prisoner Project ended up getting me out a little bit early. I met a gentleman named Dante Westmoreland in there. He fought to get himself out. He was my bunkie. He was now top echelon in Last Prisoner Project and runs his own dispensary in Kansas City. He's from California. Me and him just linked up.
Wait. So now, after all that, Kansas is actually legal for cannabis?
No.
So how does he want to...
It's Kansas City, Missouri, and there's Kansas.
Oh.
So, yeah, he went to Kansas City, Missouri. Missouri is legal.
Missouri is legal, and it's next door.
Right next door.
You see how crazy this is?
Literally, like, it's not even... It's like being in Fort Lee and going across into New York, literally just like that. And
10 years of your life, almost 20, you would lose because of a border, right? Where the other state, they're making massive amounts of money, and in another state, they just feel a certain type of way about it and are going to take your life away from you.
They did take my life anyway. I lost my wife while I was in there. My wife could not, because of me not being there, we lost our property. We lost a lot of things. They took... I think when they took over $250,000 from me, almost $250,000 from me, and I still have some money left over, and I tried to take care of her. She fell into drug use and then ended up having a mental breakdown because she was sexually assaulted.
Kyle, what the fuck? This is crazy.
Yeah, and it's one of the worst things that I've ever went through. It's crazy to it's one thing when you lose your spouse from cheating or something else, but it's another thing when you lose your spouse because you're incarcerated and they lose their mind because of stress, drug use, and other things. And so it was very hard for me to divorce her. I didn't want to divorce her. I still love her to this day. I feel like my spouse passed away. It's a very emotional thing for me, especially being in there and not being able. And I remember when she was slipping away, she kept asking me, "Can you please help me? Can you please get out of there? I need you here." And there was nothing that I can do. And I'm, 4 or 5 hours across the state, and there was nothing I could do. And I just had to watch my wife, who was the love of my life, go away. And it's still to this day. Like every once in a while, I check up on her, and she hardly even knows who I am anymore. She's totally gone, which hurts me because I'm like, how could you not remember the person that you love?
Where's your daughter in all this?
I was getting into that too. And my daughter was 12 years old when I went in. She was 19 years old when I came home. I missed her prom. I missed her graduation. I missed all of these things in my life. Even my partner who was doing the thing with me, he also, just because of the stresses of being in prison and going through things, it was the first time being in prison, and he is now dealing with mental problems, thinking that people are coming after him. And so what they did, the consequences for what we did is, I don't think they realize what it really did to us.
It ruined so many other people's lives, not just yours.
Yeah, which kind of fuels my whole thing. It's like, for me now, I have to help other people. I have to.
See, you're getting me emotional here because I feel like, and my brother is a former, legacy member, I'll say. And I always feel so connected with our experience because of being in the service. And, I feel like it's like a bid that I got paid for. And being away from I had a daughter when I went away. She still, obviously, I still have a daughter, but she was young when I first went in. And it was like being deployed and being away from her and missing first steps, first words. Like it's just like
you can never get that back.
You can never get it back. So to know that, you know, you built this whole operation that even if it's not legal now, we know Kansas, it's going to be one day, just like the whole nation is going to be, and that you lost so much of your life, and there's no restitution, there's no dispensary ownership, there's no opportunity that could ever give that back to you.
No. I mean, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunities that I have right now and where I'm at right now. I'm grateful that I'm in a place that I can make a difference for other people, because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
It's not that, and I'm not even done with it, because I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I've only been out of prison 3.5 years now, and you don't heal from all of that. It's going to take a long time. I'm actually in therapy right now for some of the things. But yeah, I mean, I lost a lot. Luckily, I mean, I remember talking to my daughter on the phone, and she's just like, Dad, like, why won't you come home? She didn't know me as that. She only knew me as Dad goes to work and comes home, and, you know, that's that. She didn't know me as somebody who was trafficking cannabis or anything like that. No. I mean, she's 22 years old now, and she consumes, and she thinks it's the coolest thing in the world what I do, because of what I've got to accomplish with helping other people.
Yeah. So tell me more about Last Prisoner Project, because obviously you're going to be opening a store, and we'll get to that shortly, but really your advocacy is what's in front of all this, and it's what's propelled you. Tell me more about them.
So Last Prisoner, when I was in there, like I said, Dante Westmoreland was my bunkie. He was also in for cannabis. He didn't even have it on him. He's with somebody else. He's from California. And the other car had 1 pound of cannabis, and they gave him 10 years in prison. Yes. So
this is getting out of control.
Yeah, me and him automatically be clicked up. I'm East Coast and he's West Coast, but we just clicked up so tight. And I actually watched him teach himself law in there. And he would always be like, "Yo, Kyle, come here, yo, check us out." And I'm like, "I'm going to the yard to go smoke," or, you know what I mean? I'm immersed in prison life.
Right.
And but he fought his way out. He got with Last Prisoner Project, and in turn, he sent because they didn't like what he was doing. He was getting state representatives to come to the prison. They were afraid of him, so they put him in maximum security prison. And so when he was going to get out, he sent a kite to me, and he said, "Hey, bro, I'm getting out. I'm going to come get you out." People say a lot of stuff, though. Yeah, whatever. And he did, though. He did. He got me out. I got to come home the week before Christmas. And this is when, at this, you know...
God, what the fuck? You're going to have me crying all goddamn episode.
You know, you can, when you go to prison, you can choose to either go negative or positive. I was like, so much negative has happened to me, I got to do something positive. And so I started to help people with reading programs while in prison. I got involved with the African Awareness Organization. I got involved with Reaching Out From Within, where we go to high schools and speak to people about, speak to kids about making the right choices in life. I did everything I could to be positive in there. I also took classes that I didn't have to take, like some dialectical thinking, just all different things to better myself. And I carried that with me out into the streets, because Last Prison Project got me out. The very day that I got out of prison, Dante was there waiting for me. He picked me up. He brought me to a grow in Missouri, and he filmed me and asked me, what was I going to do? What was I going to do now?
Wow.
And Last Prisoner Project, Mary Bailey and Stephanie Shepard and Jason Ortiz, these people rallied around me. They made sure that I was good when I came home, and they put me in a position to tell my story. They put me in a position to help other people. I mean, my first month off of parole, I was in Washington, D.C., lobbying in Congress. I'm like, holy crap, I'm scared to death. I didn't know. I'm like, bro, what am I going to say here? They're like, just be who you are and tell your story.
Yep.
And so I'm talking to Republicans and Democrats. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling them how these things affect us. And I got with Shirali Patel here in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Started working with Blaze Responsibly. Started doing expungement clinics. She is the person who introduced me to Ascend. I got a job with Ascend. I started cultivating with them. I quickly moved up from the bottom. I didn't go in and say, I know everything. I'm not that type of person. Yeah. I came from the bottom, and I moved up to supervisor. I have my own crew now. And I met Danielle Drummond, who's been like my guardian angel. She's absolutely amazing. Yeah. So with Shirali, Danielle, Mary Bailey, Stephanie Shepard, all of these powerful women around me, I was able to propel myself to who I am right now. And Danielle, she has coached me so much. I mean, not that I was ever like a rough person, but it's just a little bit rough around the edges from being incarcerated. And she's helped to mold me. She's helped to polish me. She put me in rooms where she's like, okay, sink or swim, pretty much. Like, she's like, I know that you can do this. And I was able to be the person that they wanted to open up a dispensary here in New Jersey. And now I'm going to open up East Coasting in Eatontown. And I'm getting all chills and getting lumpy and throat about it, because this is something that, while sitting in my cell, because I did time in New Jersey, in Kansas, I had to do time in maximum security for a little while. So, yeah.
What does one got to do with the other?
It's called an LSIR score, and your score is where you score as a criminal. So because I did time here in New Jersey,
these systems.
Yeah, and then there's other little charges on while being incarcerated, because you're not gonna let somebody. Well, me personally, I'm not gonna let somebody just push me around. I'm not gonna let somebody take advantage of me. And so when things did like that happen, I fought.
Right.
And so you catch charges for that.
Right.
So because of that, when I was in Kansas, they put me in maximum security. My bunkie killed 3 women, my first bunkie in there. I thought to myself, I'm here for cannabis, and this guy killed 3 women. Why am I in a cell with this man?
And putting you in a precarious position that now if he tries to do something to you, now you have no choice but defend yourself, and here you are catching more charges for no reason.
Luckily,
you see how the setup is?
Luckily, he was, I'm going to say he was cowardly, because he would attack a woman but not a man. And so
that is absolutely cowardly. Yeah, he didn't
come at me in any type of way. Not that I ever come off tough, but I'm not going to be a person, you're not going to push me around.
Right.
So, you know, and these things always stick in my mind. Even like when I was going to court, and my attorney told me, I need to humanize you to the judge. I said, humanize me? But they don't see you as a human being. You're just a number, and you're going away. I said, you know, it's the scariest thing in the world to know that they have your life in your hands, but they don't see you as a human.
Yes.
So.
Absolutely terrifying.
You know, I think about all of the other people. I don't really, I mean, of course, I deal with what I deal with, but I think about other people in prison. I think about people who may not have the same grit that I have, maybe don't have the same fight that I have. What about the people that are getting taken advantage of? And these are nonviolent cannabis offenders. What about them? Do they care about them? They don't care. When you go to county jail, Passaic County Jail, Hudson County Jail, Essex County Jail, whatever it is, if you go to jail, they're not separating you because you're in cannabis.
Yep.
No. It's CDS, controlled dangerous substance. So for all they know, you could have crack, you could have fentanyl, you can have anything.
Yep.
So you're mixed in with these people.
Yep.
And it's survival be prey. And so this is one of the things that drive me, because I'm not a big guy, I'm a little guy. A lot of times my personality is what saved me, because other people who were bigger people would be like, nah, bro, little dude cool.
He's
man.
He's good, yeah.
He's good people. So, you know, I think about people that don't have that.
Yeah.
And then now being on the streets, I think about people that don't know Danielle Drummond, who don't know Shirali Patel, who are not hooked up with Last Prisoner Project.
Yep.
How do they get into the cannabis industry? I think about my peoples on 10th Ave in Patterson. I was just out there and we were filming something, and one of the questions I was asking them, like, do jobs come here? Do you hear about jobs in the cannabis industry here? No. Meanwhile, we were the ones on the corners selling weed when weed was illegal and people wanted their bud. But now they're blocked out.
Yep.
It's almost like redlining. I mean, back in the days, they used to redline communities. It was like our people were impacted, but our people are redlined from being in the cannabis industry.
Yep. I know your store hasn't opened yet, but I want you to share a little bit with me about that, because, you know, I own a store here and we have had a tumultuous experience because of the policies and how it was laid out. And it hasn't been, they sort of dangled this carrot of, this is going to be retribution. This is going to be something to help folks from legacy. This is all of this intention about what it's supposed to be, generational wealth. And that's not what it is. I know your store isn't open yet, but what have you already experienced in these challenges?
So what I've seen, because before I got with Ascend, I was going to open up a dispensary with another gentleman, and both of us are legacy. And what I see is they're quick to give you a social equity license, but what do you do after that, though? Yep. Which one of us coming out of prison has $2 million to open up a store. Because it takes about that, because not only, okay, you get a property.
Yep.
Okay, you get all that. But now you got to wait for the CRC.
Yep.
Now you wait for licenses. You're paying the entire time for this, but we don't have the money for that. So I feel like it leaves you open for predatory practices with big companies who can come in and say, hey, you know what? We'll take your license from you. And most people in the hood can be like, oh, you want to give me $200,000? I bet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly what's happening.
Meanwhile, it's worth millions of dollars.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I'm lucky enough, like I said, I'm lucky enough to have Danielle Drummond and Frank Perillo of Ascend. These people, a lot of people talk about MSOs. Even myself, I first coming in, I'm like, bro, I don't trust these big corporate companies. I don't trust them. But to me, it's like, I think about it like this now. If I'm a rapper, I'm underground rapping, and Sony comes at me.
There we go.
Am I going to say no to Sony?
Yep. It's like a record deal.
Or am I going to create that bridge for other people now?
Yes.
I'm going to do this also for myself, but now I'm creating a bridge for other people.
Right. Because OVO is still under Universal.
That's right.
Drake is the biggest rap artist in the world. I'm really glad that you talked about the corporations. I've been doing this podcast now 3 years, and my store is an independent store. We actually, it's the only all minority owned, led, and funded in the whole nation. Right? No one has ever raised all black and brown dollars to open a store.
Wow. Kudos to you. For real.
Thank you.
Big respect.
Not necessarily clap worthy, because I'm going through hell. And it's because we're under-resourced. It's because we don't have a big conglomerate that's got lobbyists and all those other things to support us. Not every small business necessarily needs lobbying, but in this particular industry, we have learned it's a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a thing. When I came home from being on my tour and I opened a store, I didn't know you're going to be a business owner and you're also going to go and bother legislators every other week. Like, that's not what I signed up for.
Right.
But when you don't have that, you end up dealing with those challenges. So I always like to make sure that people, the audience, especially, we're trying to educate people on the cannabis industry, the legal industry, and understand how to maneuver in it. There are many different ways to do this. And to have the kind of the linear scope that you can only do it one particular way. To your point, we don't all have $2 million to open one of these stores. So sometimes you need capital from other places. To just explain more about the corporate partnership and really how that could support other people too.
So the corporate partnership for me it was huge. It's huge. Not only do they make sure the financial thing is taken care of, but the education. The education is huge. They made sure I knew everything from bud tender on up to CFO level. They are giving me CEO, CFO, COO training.
That's amazing.
You can't match that type of education.
Yep.
Because not only does it work for cannabis, but it works for any other company.
That's a fact.
So I am infinitely grateful to them and appreciative. Not only that, it's the support. Having a law team, having a marketing team, having, I don't have to really do too much with the CRC because I have to do certain things, but they take care of everything.
Yeah.
They make sure all the T's and I's are dotted and lined. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like to have that support system. And you know what's crazy? I tell Danielle knows on the meetings. After every corporate meeting, I thank them. And I'm from the bottom, and they're probably like, why is this guy thanking me? Because what they're doing for me is absolutely amazing.
Right.
And I tried the independent way, and we couldn't make it. We couldn't make it. So I know what it takes. This is why I clap for you.
Thank you.
I give you much respect because this is a battle. This is an uphill battle, and even with Ascend, I've still been doing this for almost 2 years fighting to get this open. Yeah. Like what they're doing. A lot of people talk about social equity. A lot of people talk about helping people who are impacted, but they're actually doing it.
Right.
I mean, I'm a dude who's out of prison. I have tattoos all over me. I have guns tattooed on my chest, and they saw something different in me. They didn't judge me for where I came from. They judged me by what I'm doing now, right, and the person I am now. And again, like I said, I thank them every meeting because I'm so appreciative to them.
Shout out Danielle. Shout out Frank.
Yes.
The whole Ascend team. every MSO is not the greatest one, right? And I think it comes down to, just like every other business, there's big business, there's small business. We're in Jersey City right now. Developers is a big conversation. There's some developers who have done great things for this city. There are some that are terrible. Right. In every industry, that's how it goes. And I think it just comes down to relationship building, understanding who you're working with, and making sure that the objectives that you have and that they have are both fairly met.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other thing too is, luckily, before I even got into this, I dealt with Danielle on the collab project, and she's very big on helping people who are impacted, helping the real people who were like really went to jail, people who were really out on these streets.
Yep.
So I got to do that with them, and that was also an amazing process, because they really are going into the Fourth Ward in Patterson. They're going into Newark. They're going into Trenton, and they're really helping people out. Yep. They're offering jobs. Yep. I mean, I don't see that going on too much. I'm not saying no other MSOs doing it. I'm just saying from my perspective, I don't see too many really. I see people talking it, but not really doing it.
I'm with you, Kyle. You saying exactly what's happening. Yeah, because I've been out here a minute, and I've been paying attention, and there's not that too. And the ones that are sometimes doing it like a lot is because they're pressured to.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Either it's a part of their social impact report that they have to give to the state to renew their license. It's not really genuine.
Right.
I love that you made the comparison to music, because, Lil Russell just signed.
I love that dude.
Yeah. And that's been a big conversation, because he was independent for so long, right? And he said on the Breakfast Club, like, it gets to a point where you don't have enough resources. You don't have the marketing team, the legal team. I had an experience. Now, again, I'm independent, right? And underfunded, all the things. I got sued for not having my website, ADA. And I wasn't even open, and it was somebody who sued me from New York. So technically, you can't even buy cannabis online, like, because that's considered trafficking, right? So they couldn't purchase it and get it sent anyway. But they had this perception that cannabis companies were making all this money, so they just targeted whoever they can target. And because my store is not big revenue-wise, but it's big popularity-wise, so they just bulked me together with a bunch of other companies they thought had money.
Wow, that's crazy.
And they got me for a bag.
The state they got you.
And they got me for a bag. Why do they get me for a bag? Because it gets to a point where the settling or the dismissing cost is easier to deal with than actually dealing. It's nuts. It's predatory, and there's so much predatory nature in this industry. So you go through whatever you go through before you are on the legal side and deal with those challenges. Then you come to the legal side, you'll deal with other crazy challenges.
It's crazy. It's absolutely not. And another reason why I'm so thankful to be with the Sim, because
that's what I'm saying.
They make sure that all those little pitfalls, I see them before they come. They make sure everything's smoothed out. And so, I mean, for people out there who are maybe on the fence with, should I deal with the MSO or not? If you don't have the resources, if you really don't have the resources, but you really want to be in this industry, I would say, if you have the opportunity, take it. Take it. It's only going to benefit you. And even if you only stay with them for a year or two, you now have the education. You now have the know-how to do something on your own. So I think it's extremely important.
But I will say, I love the fact that you went and worked for them first. I think that's really important. Talk about the know-how. One of the greatest sort of pitfalls I've been seeing in the legal market now is the state, right? Our state that we're in, Jersey. They give out some grants. They also gave out some licensing for the social equity, but the technical assistance, although they tell everybody they made a technical assistance program, and technically they did, but it took too long. So maybe the new cohort of people coming in that try to open businesses, that's one thing. But for those of us that were in the beginning, we didn't actually get that that training that was there. So to your point, you can give someone all the money in the world to run the business, but this is a highly regulated industry. If you do not teach them what to do, their business is going to fail. And it's kind of like a catch-22 anyway, because like, we gave you the money, but you still failed. And they're like, see, it doesn't work. See, you can't. It's like a setup to show that something doesn't work that actually would work if you gave the right tools.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy. And I've seen that before. I'm just like, bro, like, why are you setting people up like this? You say you're looking to help, but you're really not helping. Like, it's just wild. Let's see, what else?
I feel like you're actually impacting them twice, because first they already went through everything from the war on drugs. Now you dangle a carrot, tell them transition. And then you make it so difficult. I mean, in the space of me owning this business, I sold a house. I used all my money from deployment. Like, I have spent my last dollar to do this thing because outside of the fact that now we're kind of in it, I have so many customers that come in and tell me how we're helping them with their experiences, how they love my store. Tell me what you're most excited about for when you open your doors.
So number one, I'm very excited to be, because I lived in that neighborhood in Fairlawn. I got into skateboarding. I love to skateboard.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a little older now, so I can't really risk.
All right, Lil Wayne, I see you out here.
I love skateboarding. So Ascend actually helped me to open up a skateboard themed store. There's actually a half pipe inside my store.
Wait, that's the theme?
Yes, it's a skateboard store. The shelving is skateboards.
That's fire.
A lot of the skateboards are skateboards that I actually skated on.
Yep.
So this is gonna be super dope. There is a skate park that's close to me, which I'm talking about with them, and I'm talking with Red Bull about bringing a skate competition to New Jersey, because there is no skate competition here. And so
I love this.
Yeah, we do that. And this is not cannabis driven. This is skateboard driven.
Yeah.
And so I want to do something for the youth in the area. Also, too, one of the biggest things I'm looking also to do is to serve good bud. Serve good bud and give good service.
Yep.
You know, I want people to look at me. Of course, people look at me and they judge me from all the tattoos and stuff I have and what I've been through. But I want them to see something different. Yeah. Because I want them to look at my brothers in the hood different. I want to make a difference, and I want to make a bridge for people on those corners, people in Jersey City, people in Newark, people in Patterson, to coming into this industry, because what this industry is missing is a lot of amazing people out there. Yeah. A lot of us.
Yeah.
So.
And culture, branding. I guess that's the coasting part of it. Was that the point?
Right. That's right.
That's fly,
because
bro.
East Coast, we are so diverse.
Yes.
You know, just like I'm from Bed-Stuy to Fairlawn to skateboarding to rapping to trafficking. Yep. You know, people don't know. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, that's East Coast style, though. Yeah. We are very diverse, and so I want to bring that out. I want to represent. We always talk about the West Coast. I want to represent the East Coast in cannabis, and like I said, it's really important. I know I said it so many times. Really important for me to make an impact, for me to make a difference, and to create that bridge. Yeah. And listen, continue to say it. Beat a dead horse, because this industry is more than just the profits that we're all trying to generate, right? And the reality is, and I don't never mince words on this show. Y'all know I'm here to get back, okay? I don't never. But at the same time, I feel so good doing work that feels good to me. That's right. I served our country for 10 years, and thank you. And you know, obviously you're a product of so many service members, right? And it felt good to be able to serve my country and serve my community, but I didn't always feel good doing the work that I had to do, the things that I had to do that maybe didn't feel right or in alignment with me. And when people ask me about my service, it's such a challenging experience, because the service changed my life. And it helped me go in a positive direction, but then I also had really tough things that I experienced. So yeah, it's amazing to be in this space and be able to do this work. Yes, it is. And give back to people that we care so much about. Absolutely. I care so much about the veteran community. I just want to tell you something. You know that you're somebody who's like a pillar of this community. You know that you're somebody who, like, I've always heard your name, and I've seen you different places, and I'm always just like, that right there is somebody I strive to be like. And so I just want to let you know that you're inspiration to me. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. That feels good. And I'm definitely I'm grateful for those flowers, because you know, I had a big accident a couple months ago, and you know, I wasn't sure I was going to be here, and it's just amazing to like connect with people that you feel in alignment with, that you see are doing great work, that are also trying to make an impact in this world. So thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your story and being so candid. My pleasure and my honor to be here. Yeah. And I hope other people that have had challenging backgrounds, and maybe you want to get in the legal space, or you want to take an opportunity in the cannabis industry, you see Kyle turned his life around 180. You know, like, it's possible. We are in a time now where you could really damn near do anything. For real. For real. This is something that I've dreamed about, fantasized about while sitting in the cell.
Yes.
I would, talk to Dante or talk to Don, bro, one day we're going to get a dispensary. And we never really thought it was serious, but those words being spoken manifested what we have right now. And it's amazing.
Yes.
Every day I'm amazed. I'm grateful. I thank God and I thank everybody.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Listen, you do good, be well, get high. That's the motto, the other side, all right? Kyle is showing you what your life can be like on the other side. And we're so happy to be able to be here again. We're at Abake, the Heights,
Peace,
Jersey
Abake.
City.
Thank you, Abake.
Yes. Until next time, this is Coffee and Cannabis. Peace.